The Shark Deck.
Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. Harry's ghostwriter for Spare wrote a piece for The New Yorker about collaborating with Harry. J.R. Moringer writes about first meeting Harry on Zoom. Harry wasn't sure how much he wanted to say in his memoir, and that concerned me. I had heard similar reservations early on from both authors who'd ultimately killed their memoirs. Also, I knew that whatever Harry said, whenever he said it, would set off a storm. Harry had no deadline, however, and that enticed me. Harry and I made steady progress in the course of 2020, largely because the world didn't know what we were up to. We could revel in the privacy of our Zoom bubble. As Harry grew to trust me, he brought other people into the bubble, connecting me with his inner circle, a vital phase in every ghosting job. There is always someone who knows your author's life better than he does, and your task is to find that person fast and interview his socks off. As the pandemic waned, I was finally able to travel to Montecito. Harry put me up in his guest house where Megan and Archie would visit me on their afternoon walks. Megan, knowing I was missing my family, was forever bringing trays of food and sweets. Little by little, Harry and I amassed hundreds of thousands of words. When we weren't Zooming or phoning, we were texting around the clock. In due time, no subject was off the table. I felt honoured by his candour, and I could tell that he felt astonished by it and energised. A week before its pub date, Spare was leaked. A Madrid bookshop reportedly put embargoed copies of the Spanish version on its shelves by accident, and reporters descended. In no time, Fleet Street had assembled crews of translators to reverse engineer the book from Spanish to English. And with so many translators working on tight deadlines, the results read like bad Borat. One example among many was the passage about Harry losing his virginity. Per the British press, Harry recounts, "I mounted her quickly, but of course he doesn't. I can assert with 100% confidence that no one gets mounted quickly or otherwise in Spare." The Mirror has a breakdown of Harry's whirlwind tour. Harry left his Montecito home on Thursday afternoon and was driven 100 miles to Los Angeles airport by his private security team. Harry got some sleep on his overnight American Airlines flight to London and landed at Heathrow just after 11:20 a.m. on Friday morning, the Daily Telegraph reports. He was whisked away on a 20-minute drive to Frogmore Cottage, the place which he had once called home, but was forced to give up by the King. Other members of the royal family went to a dinner in central London on the night before the ceremony, but Harry was not present at the private Mayfair club. Zara and Mike Tyndall were also at the bash and continued their evening at nearby the Arts Club until around 2 a.m., but their cousin was nowhere to be seen. A possibly jet-lagged Harry had a much quieter night in Windsor, seemingly spending many hours alone without any relatives. On the day of the coronation itself, Harry was picked up from Frogmore at 9:30 a.m. in a black BMW and was taken to Westminster Abbey. Later in the day, Harry dashed off to Heathrow in a bid to make the 3:45 p.m. flight to LAX. It was so quick he didn't even have time to change out of his morning suit or take off his medals, but he did have to switch cars on the way as his official police protection had ended. His flight landed at Los Angeles just before 6:30 p.m. local time, and a black Range Rover picked him up from the VIP area for the 2-hour drive back to Montecito. Meanwhile, the King is being described as exhausted but the good kind. Katie Nichol told GB News, "I spoke to someone close to the King. I said, how is he feeling? Because he did a pre-concert party, and then after party, and then did that skit for American Idol, brilliant." The source said, "Exhausted but knackered." Katie told the hosts before going on to add, "I'm not surprised. They need a good rest now because it has been a pretty epic weekend for them." Saturday was the day that he's waited his entire life for. You imagine the emotional energy that goes into a day like that, but I think overall it has been a great success. Palace Intrigue will be right back.
I'm Nina Hobson, ex-police detective from the UK. I've worked on every crime mentionable, from murder to kidnap to stalking to fraud. When I left the force, I launched my own investigations firm that soon became a global operation. I'm also a single mother of two, to two members of my team, my son Harrison and daughter Amy. Every week, we'll be getting first-hand accounts from psychological experts, operatives, former criminals, actual victims of the crimes that we investigate, and of course, my very own flesh and blood. From Storic Media, you're listening to Codename Siren, a true crime podcast, available on YouTube and all major podcast platforms.
Via Yahoo, the publisher of the Daily Mirror has admitted unlawful information gathering in the phone hacking trial brought by Prince Harry and a number of other celebrities. We'll keep an eye on the court case and any testimony by Harry as news comes in. In The Guardian, John Grace writes, "So what if the age of King Charles starts with curbs on the power to protest? Few in the Commons were going to fuss. Move along, nothing to see here. Of course, you have a right to a peaceful protest, just as I have the right to arrest you if I feel like it. So it would be a good idea for you to move quietly behind the grandstand so that the BBC cameras can't film you. Not that they would. They know their place. Besides, they will never do another royal event if they do. So move along quietly. Is that a Velcro fastener on your jacket? A belt around your waist? Planning to lock on, are we? Then you're nicked. God save the king." It had all been just a bit of coincidence. One of those things, you know how it is. You rush through a new public order act and then suddenly find you've got a hastily arranged once-in-a-lifetime, well, maybe twice-in-a-lifetime, coronation to police. So a few people got thrown in the nick for the best part of a day. Get over yourself. The rest of us had a great day out. Makes you proud to be British, banging people up. God save the king. It had been literally the best weekend of everyone's life. We could all now die happy. No other country could have gotten so many people to dress up in Star Wars costumes and march more or less in time. God save the king. And there you have it. If you'd like to email us, our address is thepalacintrigue@gmail.com. Please follow us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, YouTube, or your favorite app of choice. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue and good times.
All right, here's the pitch. 5 stories, they're all good news. It's called 5 Good News Stories. No negative news, just good news. Nice, easy way to start your day. Hopefully a smile. Hi, I'm Johnny Mack, host of 5 Good News Stories. You get the premise? There's 5 stories, and they're all good news. So the number 5, Good News Stories. 5 Good News Stories. Follow the show wherever you get your podcasts.